So, hi there, everybody. It's Charlie here from Sophia's Choice, and I'm back for another episode of In Conversation with. And today I have got the lovely Portia from Portia Breathworks. Welcome, Portia. Lovely to have you here with me today.
Hi, Charlie. Thank you for having me. Nice to
You're
be here.
welcome. Yeah, brilliant. So Portia, you're based in Somerset, so you're not far
Yes.
from me in Dorset. And we were talking earlier actually about where I came across you, and I think it was via Instagram, so social media. And then I
Yes.
ended up coming to one of your breathwork sessions over in Solway Ash in Dorset.
Yeah.
And then you were offering one of your sort of breathwork workshops for parents with teens, which I took
Yes, that's right.
my daughter
Yeah.
across to. And that's how we met. And so I thought it would be really nice actually to bring you on today and have a chat about breath work and how useful it can be for lots of different situations and how important it is actually to breathe and breathe properly, which a lot of us don't do. But do you want to just quickly introduce yourself and what you do and how you came to being a breathwork practitioner?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. So, yes, Charlie said I'm Portia from Portia Breathwork. Um, so I have got three young kids. Um, and I've got two businesses. So I've got my breathwork business and also I've got a freelance like PR marketing admin business as well. So I was feeling a bit stressed, say, before I got into the breathwork side of things, looking for ways to kind of manage that a little. And I really got into meditation. So meditations at home in the mornings and really enjoyed the breath side of things. And that is how I came to breath work and got a bit more curious about it, really started looking deeper into the breath side and working with my breath a lot more to help me sort of manage overwhelm, stress, a lot of anxiety I was going through at the time. Um, and yeah, and I've because I loved the breath so much, I really felt the benefits of it and had been so curious about it. I then went on to train as a breathe instructor, a breathwork instructor for like on the emotional side of things and the relaxation side of things. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's kind of how I came to it. And at the moment, these days, I run classes, so guided breathwork for relaxation classes
Mhm.
in Dorset, Devon, Somerset, and online. If you like sound baths, yoga nidra, yin yoga, the last 10 minutes of your yoga session, you're probably going to like the kind of classes that I run. They're very chilled out, relaxed. You can sit or lie down for as much or as little as you want, engage with as much or as little as you want. Tend to just have a soft focus on my voice and I guide you through some breathing patterns that will just kind of help chill out. We sort of calm down the mind, the body, the nervous system. We clear out stored stress and tension and always finish with a lovely relaxation because that's the kind of breath work that I enjoy. So I love to deliver
Yeah,
that and facilitate it for others as well, the kind of
fantastic.
everyday breath work.
And how long have you been doing the sort of breath work sort of from your training? Is it a sort of a relatively recent thing or a
Yeah.
few years now?
So the meditation at home, I'd say I've been doing that for like the last 10 years and then got more and more into the breath and was exploring that probably mainly for about 5 years and then trained. I think I've had my breathwork business for a couple of years now. So
Fantastic.
yeah, still relatively young business, I'd say. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
nice to have so many faces and people come join me every week. So yeah,
Yeah.
really
And also to
pleased.
have something that you can work around the other business you've got, but also around the children. And, you've got
Yeah.
that flexibility and it's also benefiting you as well in the work that you're sort of doing and offering others. So it's kind of like
Yeah,
a win-win, really, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. I always kind of think, wonder what kind of mother I'd be now had I not started engaging in this. Because, we're all stressed. One kid, three kids, no kids, job, life, families. It's like the biggest
Yeah,
thing going on in your life is the biggest thing going on in your life, isn't it? So it's just finding things that work for you that can help you in the moment to kind of manage that overwhelm and
yeah,
feel at ease and enjoy life,
definitely.
really.
I think that's it. And I think, talking about sort of, life being stressful and overwhelmed, things like that. I mean, I think now we sort of, I know a lot of them can feel like buzzwords, but we sort of, I mean, stress is needed for us to, exist and live our lives. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any motivation to do anything. But I
Yeah.
think everything now is so fast paced. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were saying that, whereas before you would send a letter and it would arrive somewhere, and then you'd have time to read it, respond to it, put it in the post again. You'd have a level of time, days, weeks, it was between one communication and the other.
Yeah.
Whereas now we live in a world where everything is instant. Everybody wants you to respond straight away, whether it be email or text message. So we're in this heightened stress, sort of what's the word I'm looking for? We're just in that emotion, I suppose, all the
Yeah.
time, and then that creates quite a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. So breath work, I imagine, can be really helpful in that way, because a lot of people, if they're stressed and they're anxious, they all then start to, we all shallow breathe up here,
Hmm.
rather than utilizing our breath properly, which should be further down into the belly, and yeah, it's a completely different way of breathing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, from just to share a personal sort of story on that side of things, even scrolling through social media and things, I used to get this real anxiety, and I'd think, why do I feel anxious? Is it what I'm looking at? And I'd realize I was breathing purely up here. So I was putting my body in that state of anxiety by the way I was breathing. Just sending that breath down lower, I was then able to think, right, is it what I'm looking at, or is it the way that I'm breathing? It's probably a bit of both.
Mhm.
But I'm really conscious of checking in with my breath all the time. And that's where I say is a really good place to start for people. Just start with bringing your awareness to your breath. How are you breathing? When you're feeling really stressed out, can you just pause? Is it all up here? Are you reverse breathing? A lot of us women will, because we've been told to hold our stomachs in most of our lives. So we're breathing the
That's
wrong
interesting.
way. We're sort of breathing, sucking in on the inhale rather than letting it expand. So just checking in
That's
and get
interesting.
really curious about your breath. And yeah, once you sort of have that awareness, that's a great foundation to build everything else on top of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you talk about, as women, how we breathe, reverse breathe. I've not heard
Mhm.
that, but that makes an awful lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, tight trousers, sucking the stomachs in from all those 90s magazines and things. So yeah, and it's unconscious, isn't it? That we're sort of
Yeah.
doing that. Really, relax the tummy, let it be soft, let it expand with the inhale gently. It may be really subtle, but when we're taking an inhale, the breath should be reaching down to the abdomen. You'll feel that light expansion, maybe even into the lower ribs, round into the lower back, and then it'll soften back to center as well as you exhale.
And would you say that if people are shallow breathers, that when they start breathing more deeply and into their abdomen and whatever, that when some people can potentially experience a bit of lightheadedness because they're perhaps getting more oxygen into the system that they're not used to? Would you say that can be quite common when people start to learn to breathe more deeply and properly?
I would say if they're feeling lightheaded, they're probably over breathing. So they're
Okay.
breathing out too much carbon
Okay.
dioxide. So just sort of draw back on the force. You don't want to be pulling and pushing the breath. You should
Hmm.
be letting that breath flow naturally, sort of in and out, and sort of you might want to, in the first few instances, place one hand on the tummy, just see if you can feel that expansion. That hand will give you a bit of feedback to let you know that the breath is reaching all the way down there. And I know it's really tricky. Just try to be without frustration, without judgment. Just see how the breath moves. It may be that you want to sit there for a while before you feel you can even get it moving down past the chest, but just taking that pause can
Mm.
really help. And the more often you do it, you might want to start by just watching your breath idle around when you wake up in the morning for a minute, and then a minute goes to 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and you're just sort of building a bit of a habit in watching that breath move around. You're sort of building that awareness on how it is moving, and it should start to then sort of flow a bit more easily, because like you say, we are sort of probably not breathing as we should be most of the time, you know,
No,
as we would as a baby. But life happens, doesn't it? We all brace,
just
and that's it. We're sort of braced for
yeah,
life, conditioning, like I said, like the tight trousers, the sucking the tummy in, and yeah, we forget how to breathe. So just sort of, and it can take time, you know, it's not going to change straight away.
yeah.
But building
It's
those,
having patience with yourself, really, isn't it? And it's maybe relearning, sort of relearning new habits that replace maybe the habits that we've got used to, whereby maybe the anxiety or the stresses, often people can find that they kind of almost hold their breath and
yeah,
forget to breathe.
yeah, I do
You
that when I'm driving. Yeah.
know.
You know, I'm not immune to it. We're all human.
But I think it's having that focus, isn't it? That if we can focus back into our bodies, and because we reside so much now in our heads and we're thinking all the time, we forget to get back into our bodies and how that feels. And breath, I
Yeah.
think, is a great way to get you back in touch with your body.
Yeah. And, you know, I'd just call it like a bottom up approach. So the top down or the talking therapies, things like that, great. They've all got their place. But the bottom up side of things quite often gets forgotten, or
Mhm.
people aren't aware it's an option, really. So just turning inwards, using your body, listening, and doing engaging with the breath can be a really great way to kind of help with some of the other things you might be experiencing as well. You know,
Yeah,
engaging the vagus nerve, helping regulate things. I know there's a lot of talk about nervous system regulation, and it's great
hugely
that there's a
important.
lot of awareness around it. But you know, we want people to have a healthy nervous system. We don't want to be chilled all the time. That's not the main aim. You know, when you step out in front of a car accidentally, you need your body to react to keep you safe.
Yeah.
You're going to go into that alert mode, but then you want to be able to just bring it back down once you are safe and you step back on the pavement and bring yourself back down, be able to move between those different states.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's beautifully explained, actually, because we do talk about a lot about sort of reducing our stress levels, but as you say, we don't want to be at the far end whereby we're literally falling asleep, not motivated to do anything at
Floating
all. We
around.
have to exactly we have to live life, but being able
Yeah.
to flip between those two situations as required, I think, is really, really
Yeah.
important. So have you got any, would you say, particular types of, because I mean there isn't just one way of breathing,
Mhm.
seems to be an awful lot of different types of ways that we can breathe in different scenarios. So have you got any sort of things that you could offer people that would be good tools for them in maybe situations where they're feeling stressed or anxious or overwhelmed at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the ones that I love to talk to people about, and it's a really simple technique, but that's not to its detriment at all. You know, if you're feeling stressed and you can feel yourself tipping over into panic, and perhaps you're in a situation where you can't just get up and leave or change your physiology at all, um, you might be in a meeting and something's triggered you and you're really sort of boiling under the surface, but you've got to kind of stick it out. You can do triangle breathing, and no one need know that you're breathing this technique. Sit there quietly, carrying on. So you would inhale in and out through the nose, but if that's not comfortable, in through the nose and out through the mouth, and just breathing in up one side of the triangle, holding down the other, and then exhaling out along the bottom of the triangle, and just
Okay.
introducing a count to that. So, it might be that to begin with, your breath count is inhaling for 2, holding for 2, exhaling for 2, inhaling for 2, holding for 2, exhaling for 2. And then you might, if you feel you're able to, just lengthen that breath a little bit. So you move to a count of 3 or 4. About 3 would probably be a great place to be, and just sort of do a few rounds of that, and that can really sort of help bring you back, bring you out of that triggered state, just calm everything down a little bit.
Mm.
And I would just love that one because they're none the wiser that you're breathing it, really.
No. And it's doing all that wonderful stuff in the background whilst
Yeah,
I suppose you're able as well to maybe get a little bit more out of your head of what's triggered you to feel that overwhelm or frustration, because you're
yeah,
focusing on the breath. It's kind of
Yeah.
hopefully helping those kind of anxious thoughts that you might be having.
Absolutely. And you've got that pause in there. So in that pause, that's almost, and I know it's a short pause, but it does give you that processing time. As you've got the inhale, you've got that pause, just let things process a bit, and then you can exhale it out, let it go, take another breath. Yeah, it's a really simple, I think hopefully it's quite an easy one to remember.
Yeah.
Just anything that will help slow the breath down, or like you say, bring your awareness, give you something to focus on. Always great.
So that one's slightly different to, I've heard obviously of box breathing, which has got
Yes.
another element to it. So it's got two hold
Yeah.
moments
So
in it, has
box
it?
breathing, if you visualize a box, you'd inhale up one side, hold, exhale, hold. So with box breathing, another really simple and effective tool, you might find if you're feeling quite stressed, and the breath hold after the exhale could be a little tricky. So if that
Right.
doesn't feel right or good for you, switch to triangle, but find what you like to engage with and what works well in different situations for you.
Yeah.
Just have a
And I
play
imagine it's like
around.
anything, the more you practice these techniques, the sort of stronger you become in being able to manage your breath, and then you can move on to maybe if you've mastered that triangle breathing, which feels really natural to you,
Mm.
you can then maybe move on and try that extra holding of the breath to create a box breath
Yeah.
instead.
And you might find that on different days, different things feel good. And,
Mhm.
if you've been ill, it might be really tricky to hold on and out breath after that. But just having that awareness and building that tolerance to CO2 back up
Mm.
can sort of, yeah, it's just having some awareness and noticing what you notice as you're breathing. And yeah, if you're interested in it, you can kind of get curious about it more and be like, oh, why is that happening today? And what's changed? And oh, maybe sometimes it's a really good window into how we're living our lives, because
Yeah.
sometimes the breath will tell us stuff before we've kind of got the head to that point.
I think that's
Maybe
it.
I am stressed out.
It's true. And the body is really good actually at giving signals. Often it's just whether we listen to them or whether we're in tune with them a lot of the
Yeah,
time. So I suppose breath techniques are very good at putting you back inside your body. And then hopefully you do become more sensitive to what your body's trying to tell you a lot of the
yeah,
time.
that's
Yeah.
absolutely right. Yeah.
So do you have any other sort of useful breathing techniques that people can use day to day in certain situations at all?
Yes. So one of them, which is my go-to, like I said, I've got three kids. So when I'm particularly, I don't know, it's a high stress situation or something's happened, that's just life. It does, doesn't it? One of my favorites is, you might have heard it, the term calm breathing. So your exhale is for twice as long as your inhale. So perhaps you
Okay.
inhale for 4, exhale for 8. And I love
Wow.
that one.
That sounds
Um,
like the exhale for 8. That sounds like quite a lot or a long
yeah.
time of out breath.
And you may want to, if you just think of the ratio of 1 to 2, so perhaps you inhale for 2, exhale for 4, and build up to that 8, or whatever works for you. Just we're lengthening out that exhale. And as you do, you can draw your navel back towards your spine to help engage that vagus nerve, which helps promote that calm, that relaxation. But the reason why I love this one is, when we're feeling that high emotion, that high stress, it will take 90 seconds for that to move through your body. So as soon as I
Okay.
can feel that, I think, right, calm breathing, a minute and a half here, I'm gonna feel a shift. It's gonna help. So just try and breathe through it. So then I'm able to respond rather than react. Just kind of take that pause, breathe, let everything calm down, gain a bit of space, and then go back and respond. So yeah, that calm breathing, it's an inhale through the nose, and then the exhale, like you say, it is quite a long exhale. So if you're struggling to slow that breath down, you can always breathe out through pursed lips. um, that will help the exhale be sort of more controlled, more slow. It will help stent the airway open a bit so you can maintain that exhale, or you can even exhale making a shushing sound. So you'd sort of shh as you're breathing out as well. So it's, yeah, a ratio of 1 to 2, that calm breathing.
Interesting. And I think it gives us that time to not react immediately to a situation that has completely overwhelmed us, made us angry, whatever it might be, by using that breath technique. As you say, you're giving yourself time just to center back down again, so that hopefully your reaction to a situation is slightly different than it could be. It's not so it's more what's the word? Is proactive the right word? I don't know, but it's less
More
reactionary, isn't
considered.
it? More
Yeah, like I
considered.
always
I
feel
like
as
that.
if it's
Yeah.
a more, yeah, rather than me flying off the handle.
And then needing to apologize afterwards and
Yeah.
thinking that was probably other things plus that trigger
Well,
that
that's it, isn't it? It's never about the thing that's just happened, is it?
that's normally the thing that just flips you over.
Yeah.
And it's calming those kind of brain patterns as well, isn't it? Whereby we've
Mm.
had that heightened, reaction experience, and it's just trying to calm all that down as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's that stress bucket analogy, which I'm sure, yeah, you're familiar with, that I always sort of think of, you get to the top and then that breathing is just that tap at the bottom. Let some of it out.
Love
Yeah.
that. Love that. So yeah. So you're kind of almost at overflow, and then you're just
Yeah.
making sure that you get some of that overflow out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I imagine that the doing the breath work, and obviously you've been meditating for 10 years. I imagine that, it's had a profound effect on you and how you kind of navigate life, I suppose, using all these tools in your everyday.
Um, well, I find that one tricky to kind of answer because I don't know what the alternative looks like. I can
True.
imagine. So I hope it's helped. I still laugh the handle at the kids and at myself when I've forgotten to do something. Um, I think I've got more awareness of my breath and can call upon these beautiful techniques. Like situations that I'm in, sometimes I think, oh, I feel so grateful to have these tools that I can call upon to help me navigate whatever it is that's going on. I just find that I'm just forever grateful for that I came across the breath and can weave it into everyday life. But I mean, my kids are not up for engaging in it at all.
Are they not? It's interesting, isn't it, how our children can sometimes kind of be pushed away from maybe what we're doing often, and they don't always embrace it. But I think sometimes they come full circle, and
Yeah,
they often will come back to it. And when maybe they need those tools, hopefully some of that has rubbed off on them. And
yeah. Quite often they'll say, are you doing one of your breathing things? Because you're breathing weirdly. So, they, they know about it, but yeah, they wouldn't want to sit and do a class with me. They'd be more interested in setting up the fairy lights, which
oh, bless them.
yeah, set the scene.
Other more important things to do. But I
Yeah.
think, talking to you, it's kind of I think your way is very much about bringing it into the everyday, so it's
Yes.
accessible to everybody at all times, that it doesn't necessarily mean you've got to go and do a long workshop or anything, that you
Yeah.
can just pick it up and utilize it in your everyday life, which is really, really important, isn't it?
Yeah, because what I find, and there's loads of breath workers out there, more and more these days, which is absolutely great. And I always say, go and find someone that you resonate with, their style of teaching or facilitating, what they're offering. Like I said, my kind of classes are more relaxation classes using the breath. So
Mm,
you come for a chill out, a reset. It might be a lot of people say, oh, I felt I was like halfway up the curtains halfway through, I was so relaxed and really chilled out and it lasted all week. And that's great. But a lot of other breath work can be about releasing trauma and emotions. And, you know, there's a place for that. And if that's what you need, go and find someone that does that for you.
mm,
But we don't always have the time to go on a spiritual journey or look into traumas and set that time aside to process that afterwards as well. So, there's a place for all of these different breath works, but just be mindful of what you're signing up for when you're going to a class, and there's that ethical practice in place. Some breath workers is a lot of hands-on, so make sure there's that consent side of things. You don't want to
mhm.
walk in somewhere, go to a session, leave feeling really fragile and that you've got all this stuff to process, and perhaps it's not what you thought you were signing up for as well. So just take a look at your teachers, make sure they're qualified, they're
Yeah.
insured, that you resonate with them. And yeah, and
Yeah.
like I say, there's some beautiful classes out there.
Mm.
So just, yeah, find what works for you and what it is you're looking for as well. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of the easiest way for me to describe my offering is, like, if you like a sound bath, you like the last 10 minutes of your yoga session, I think you're going to like my sessions, because they're all about chilling out and feeling great
Yeah.
afterwards.
We love that. So if people want to find where you are and what you do, because I know you do in person, online, so you've got kind of
Yes.
got the best of both worlds there.
Yeah.
Where will people find you, and what sort of equipment, if that's the right term,
Yeah.
what would do people kind of need to sort of, if they come along to any of your classes,
Yeah.
you know, what you're offering?
So my in-person classes, I'm fortunate enough to live sort of in a part of Somerset that I'm really accessible to Devon and Dorset as well. So I run in-person classes in Yeovil, Axminster, Solway Ash near Bridport, and yeah, Horton, which is near Ilminster. And then I've got my online class, which is via Zoom. So I say to people, bring as much as you want and don't worry about turning out a bag full of stuff. So you need to be comfortable. Like, an hour is a long time on a village hall floor. So depending on which venue you're turning up at, you know, make sure you're comfy. We want to keep the airway open, so we don't want the chin down to the chest. But if a little pillow behind you is really going to help, bring that along. Bring an eye mask. You know, most people will come with a yoga mat, maybe a sun lounger cushion or a camping mat,
Mhm.
definitely a blanket or some warm clothes, because you might notice that your body temperature shifts as we move through the session, especially in that relaxation part. It's almost, some of those slower breathing techniques can almost act a bit like a cooling agent in the body. So, you know, have a blanket to hand. But yeah, like I said, some people come with duvets, camping mats.
Kitchen
Yeah,
sink.
they really get set. But to be honest, that's it. It's a lot of stuff that you'll have already. You know,
Mm.
put your dry robe on if you're happy to wear that and you're not rustling about too much. But yeah, and at home for my online classes, no obligation to have your cameras on. Most of the people attending that do it from bed. So
Just tuck
they
yourself
do the
in.
class in bed, they get themselves cozy because that's a Sunday evening class, and then they just let themselves drift off to sleep, or, you know, get in your jammies on the sofa so that you can just chill out and put a movie on afterwards. But yeah, it's all about being comfortable. You know, we're going to be safe. We're going to have the spines straight but not stiff, just so that
Mhm.
we keep the airways open. And with certain breathing techniques, I might direct you to lie down rather than be seated. You know, I'd say some people start the session in a seated position we always start with like a breath awareness, almost like a breath meditation, and then they'll
Mm.
move to lying down. But most of the time people will come in, lie down, and that's where they'll stay for the hour. And yeah, never any offense taken if anyone falls asleep. Happens every class. You
That's
know, I
okay, is
say
it? Someone in the
take
corner
what
snoring.
yeah. All right, if that's what you need from that time, then great. And quite often you're not asleep, you've just gone into that really deep rest phase, and
Yeah,
yeah, you've gone into that beautiful bit and you feel like you've had like the best night's sleep ever.
fantastic. And recently so if anyone follows you on
Yes.
socials and are probably signed up to your email list, they've probably come across the fact that you've had a new offering that has come out called The Habit. Do you want to
Yes.
just have a sort of have a little quick chat
Oh,
about The
yeah.
Habit? So
I'd
this
love
exciting.
to. I've loved creating this. So, yeah, if you do follow me on social media, you may have seen that I do some breath check-ins online. So, yeah, you'll be scrolling through your social media. I'll pop up. I'll say, right, quickly, let's check in with our breath. How are we breathing? Let's breathe in this way. And I might guide you through a little technique. So it just allows you to pause right there and then do it. And I was really keen to kind of bring that to people. In a different way. Well, not a different way. I wanted it still to be accessible, but for people to access those short breathers that allow them to pause and can really benefit how the rest of their day feels. So
Mm.
I've got the habit running for the month of April. So it's 28 days, breathe along. So every morning you get a 5 to 10 minute audio dropped into your WhatsApp. It's a closed WhatsApp group. So it's not a noisy group with lots of chatter. It's only me dropping the audio in. You click on it, you listen to it, you breathe along. You can go back and listen to the previous days and things. You know, you might find one that resonates or you really enjoy, you want to listen to that. At the end of the 28 days, I open the group up so everyone in the habit can drop in questions, or perhaps they just want to share their experience. I close the group again so that there's no more noise in there, and I will answer all of the questions. And I'm going to answer those in the group so that everyone can hear the answers, because it's likely that what someone's asking might be useful for other people to hear as well. And yeah, so that is running for the month of April. So that doors have closed for that session of the habit, but I do have a wait list running, as I'm going to run the habit again later this year. And yeah, it's just been so much fun creating these beautiful audios for you all to breathe along with. Yeah, I've really enjoyed
brilliant.
it.
And I think it's great that it's over that sort of 28 days. It's progressive. You're getting into a habit of breathing every single day in ways that are accessible to you. They're not too long and involved. And if also, if it drops in the morning and you can't do it till lunchtime in your lunch break, it doesn't matter. You know, you're picking that up as and when you need it. So it sounds absolutely fantastic. I'll put a link underneath, certainly for this will go onto YouTube and socials. But I'll put a link to your wait list if that's okay for that.
Thank you. Yeah,
so, fabulous.
Please do.
Excellent. And if people want to, I mean, just before I mentioned about where people can find you, we're also hopefully looking to do some mini sort of half day or one day retreats together, aren't we? So we're sort of hatching some plans to try and see if we can pool our skills and resources and put some sort of mini wellbeing sessions together.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I think we've got quite a lot of ideas, haven't we?
We have. We just
we
need
will
to sort
refine
of
them
mesh them together. So watch our socials for updates of that, or subscribe to our email lists and things like that. So that'll be good. So if people want to follow you on socials, find where you are on the internet, etc., how is the best way for them to find you, Portia?
So the unusual name does help sometimes, but the spelling doesn't. So on Instagram, I am Portia_Breathwork. And on Facebook, if you type in Portia Breathwork, I should come up as well. I think I'm, just Portia Breathwork on there. And my website is portiamcmenemy.co.uk. So I can give you the links to those, maybe easier.
And I'll pop those in the bottom, and that'd be great. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today and chatting about what you do and giving us some techniques and ideas that we can take into our everyday life. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm super excited about the little mini workshops that we're hatching together. And I really hope that the month of April with the habit goes really well.
Thank you.
And I'll look forward to an update from you as to how that all came.
Well, thank you for having me. And if anyone watching this wants to chat, my DMs on social media are always open, always happy to talk about the breath, or can point you in the direction of a breathing technique that might be useful for anything you're experiencing. So please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you.
And if not, they can dip into your sort of little, breath work. Sort of,
on Instagram especially, there's a highlight on there called Breathe Now, which has lots of the breathers that I've done over the past. So just go and have a watch through to see what you can find on there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Thank you, Charlie.
I will chat to you soon, and thanks for your time.
Bye.
Bye.